Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday from Arni's. Happy birthday to you.
This is Alan Karpick with Matt Kiefer and Arni's birthday Zoom. I say this every time, but it's not possible that a Matt Kiefer is 40 years old, but he is today. Actually recording, truth be told, a day early, but that's because it's got a busy day tomorrow. We appreciate your time, Matt. First of all, happy birthday, but also I always ask the question, what birthday traditions do you have, had growing up, or will be sharing tomorrow for the big 4-0?
Growing up, I was the youngest of four, so there wasn't a lot of quote unquote birthday traditions, I would say, that we had in place. But my parents, my mom would always bake a cake and open presents, etc. So kind of the more typical stuff. And I'm actually not one for, big on celebrating birthdays per se. But anyways, for the 40th, I'm actually got some friends coming into town. And my wife's throwing kind of a dinner for us at a restaurant here in Milwaukee. So, it'll be good to reconnect with some people. And then obviously having been up here in Milwaukee for 2016, so close to 7 years now. So I have some friends up here that we've got to know. And so we'll be having a dinner, sans kids, which will be nice. And looking forward to it.
Any night when you have relatively young ones, it's wonderful to be with them, but wonderful to have a night out without. You are the rarest of rare student athletes, an engineering degree, and you and I have talked about this before. And get us up to speed a little bit on what you're doing professionally now. I'm guessing as we talked last year, your analytical skills and acumen are still being put to good use. But tell me about that road and professionally over the last few years.
Yeah. So close to 3 years ago, I started working with a lower middle market private equity firm in Milwaukee called Borgman Capital. Typically, the original founders focused on lower middle market leverage buyouts, but I joined them to focus on real estate investing because there's a lot of overlap. And so we acquire and develop mostly industrial, manufacturing, warehouse properties. So it's been going well. We've actually, over the last couple of years, grown the team. And, in the current macro environment, it is a little bit difficult. But for us, given where we're at from a position standpoint, we've actually seen an uptick in activity. So I got a couple big deals that I'm working on right now, so excited about that. And also have a couple young kids, so they keep us busy in addition to the professional world. And my wife also works in commercial real estate. So but yeah, it's been fun and excited for the future with the company.
I'm not turning this into a job interview question, I promise, but I am curious to how that engineering mind and background, and you obviously it took a lot to do that as a student athlete, but how that's translated, what skills, what makes you good at what you do now? Is it your ability to bring a lot of things together? How does that translate, I should say?
Good question. Specifically from an engineering perspective, the analytical side, because with real estate, it's, pretty heavy on the financial modeling side of things. And so just having that mathematical and kind of technical background, allowed me to pick up on that pretty quickly, I would say. So that, and I'm more detail oriented, so I dive into the weeds on things, and which I enjoy doing. So I think that's definitely helped. The engineering background has translated to the real estate side. But then also I think it's on the teamwork side of things as well. And, through basketball and just athletics in general. We're a pretty small team, so it's working with different service providers, law firms, brokers, our financing partners, our investors. So bringing that all together that's more of an art, not necessarily a hard skill. And so having the athletics and the engineering background, I think, translates well to what I'm doing now. And, it's also, Coach Keady, Coach Painter, having played for them, they're very demanding. So that work ethic that was instilled in me kind of helps with what I'm doing now, because it's really the nature of the business is you got to do deals, and in order to find them, it takes a lot of time and effort. You can't be discouraged if something doesn't go your way. So it's always keep moving forward one day at a time.
Yeah, well said. All right, Matt played at Purdue 2002-03 season, was his freshman year through the 2005-06 season. Looking you up 112 games, 70 starts, and averaged 12 points a game in your senior year. You had a varied experience. I mean, you made lifelong friends, I'm sure, and that. But you went through a coaching transition because Gene Keady, in his 25th year, you made the NCAA as a freshman. Didn't get a chance to play in the tournament after that, but. Talk about first. I want to ask just that transition. What was it? What were take homes even for you some 20 years later, or 17 years later, I should say, about learning to go through a coaching transition, two similar styles to some extent, I think, with Coach Keady and Coach Matt Painter. But what's your takeaway now if you were going to talk to a team and say you learned from this? What did you learn?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, Coach Keady obviously was, had a very set kind of process and how he, ran his program. Coach Painter's, it was very similar at the time. I think Coach Painter's, has changed and adapted since I played, just given, we ran the motion offense. He's more sets, et cetera. But so I would say from my perspective, there's a little bit of a different personality, I would say.
Yeah.
And, this is just, change is one thing that is going to be consistent in your life forever.
Yeah.
So how do you respond to that? How do you adapt to that is extremely important. And being able to, it takes some time to make that transition, and whoever you work with, and just getting, I think it's getting up to speed and having open lines of communication, in which Coach Painter had as we were going through that communication or through that transition really helped. And, just being able to then, it's, if you're going to talk to someone about that, that's, and, playing college basketball, they may not get it at that point in time per se. But moving forward, having, being able to adapt, because after I played at Purdue, I, played overseas professionally for Spain and Germany. And each year I played on a different team. So it was being able to adapt to a different coaching, a different coach, a different program, different cultures, et cetera. So I think that's one of the soft skills that I really took away from playing overseas as well. So.
One of the great, Purdue's at basketball has had a great tradition, and Gene Keady personifies that, and an opportunity for him to make the Hall of Fame. Again, he recruited you, his staff, and didn't as well. But to talk about that and just putting that into perspective, the fact that Gene Keady makes really in pretty elite company when you're a college basketball coach. And you make the Naismith Hall of Fame. But what was your reaction when you heard the news?
I was ecstatic. Coach K is a legend. It was my dream to play basketball at Purdue and for Coach Keady. So, just his, just the presence he commanded, on the sideline as well in the locker room, right, and everything that he did. He was unique, and it really kind of on the forefront of how he ran his program back in the 80s and 90s. So I was ecstatic. I went to the Big Ten tournament in Chicago, and I was able to talk to Coach Keady, and it was just, just refreshing to see him. And I obviously he was sitting behind me, where there was a couple bad calls. He got a little excited. So that was typical of him. So he definitely deserving of that recognition. 25 years, numerous, Big Ten championships, NCAA tournaments, and just, it's that, but then it's also, he had this presence of being a disciplinarian, but he was also very caring of all of his players. So for me, I'm ecstatic to hear that he got that award.
Well, Purdue men's basketball is been riding high. Obviously, Big Ten champions this year, Big Ten tournament champions, which you got a chance to see. Some harrowing moments at the end of that game, at the end of the Penn State game, and maybe the Rutgers game. I don't know if you were there for all three.
Yeah.
And yet, obviously the way the tournament went this year was tough, and something that it will take some doing to just kind of stay focused. A lot of talent on this team, but if you were going to address this team at a preseason practice, what do you say to them moving ahead? Because there's a lot of talent there, and it seems to be a very together group, and all the things are there. But how do you work past a tough loss and a finish that you didn't want to have in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, no, I mean, take a step back. Like the fact that that team they were not ranked at the beginning of the year, and they made it. They had won the Big Ten tournament. I mean, obviously disappointing in the NCAA tournament. Repeat that. Do something. Be excellent as far as like learning what went well last season, taking those high points and applying them to the future. But that's in the past now.
Yeah,
like. That is over. There's nothing that you can do about that. Move forward. Learn from your mistakes, learn from what happened, and continue to move forward one day at a time. Be the best version of yourself every day.
Hey, that's a reasonable response and well thought, which I expected. No, and an analytical look at how you move forward. You look at this this program and playing with a guy like Keady, you would probably have enjoyed that, but also playing with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. This is a team that's really been fun to watch, and a lot of really. I think the best days are still ahead of it, just based on the relative youth of this team, and whether Zach comes back. I don't. We'll all find that out here in a little bit of time, but this is a team with a lot of promise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for Braid, the young guys to come in and, do what they did last year. Obviously, they had some growing pains, as they were going through the season. But if they've learned from that and they can be more consistent throughout next year, and I'm talking about the younger guys. Yeah. Right. That will help us, I think, be more successful towards the latter part of the year. And then, if Edie comes back, he's just the load, right? He's a unique basketball player in general. You don't see a lot of guys of his height and, at his skill level playing these days. It's more, more guard focused per se. So, which, presents a unique challenge from a matchup standpoint for our opponents. So, it's the younger guys stepping up and just being able to be more consistent, I think, throughout the year. And, there's obviously some things that, some small things, as far as like being able to break the press, right? Being able to be more consistent in shooting. Like if we can figure some of those things out and not have an off night, because there's so much parity in college basketball today, or parity in basketball in general. Look at the NBA as well. Yeah. Right. And so you can't take it's if you have an off night, turn the ball over, don't shoot the ball well, it's going to be tough. And so how do you kind of mitigate that and just find a way to win? So, but there's a lot of, I'm excited for next year. It's a little bit of a different situation compared to this year, though, where this year we were not expected to do well. This year, there's going to be a little bit more pressure. So how do you handle that and how do you respond? Because, the cat's out of the bag with some of our younger guys. And so that's something that they'll have to overcome.
All right. Last question. You being 6'10", are your children of size? Are they athletes? What are they? Are they academically oriented? What you care to share? What are the young Kiefers going to be about here over the next few years?
Well, they're younger. So I have Caroline, who's 4, and I have Chloe, who's 2. Oh, and we actually have identical twin girls on the way as well.
Oh, exciting.
So hit the jackpot there. Excited. Praying everything goes well from, my wife being healthy and the kids and then the babies being healthy. But Yeah, Caroline, she's off the charts whenever it comes to height. She hasn't really, she's got she's a ball of energy, hasn't really like fit into a specific sport, but she loves to be active.
Yeah.
So, Chloe, she's a little bit of a late bloomer. She was like in the 50th percentile for height, but now the last appointment was up into the 70th percentile 70th percentile range. So, but yeah, she's also a bundle of energy. So nothing really that they've kind of chosen yet. And I'll be a parent where it's like, as long as if you want to do something, you do it and give it your all. And if whether that's academics, whether that's sports, right? Just find your passion and pursue it and work as hard as possible to pursue that passion.
Well, if basketball is their game, Keady Geralds will wait patiently, I'm sure, for them. I'm sure Dave Shondell would too for volleyball if they're both tall as well, if that ends up being their deal. But congratulations to you. And 4 under the age of 5, man, you're a bigger man than the rest of us. But that'll keep you guys hopping, I'm sure. Happy birthday to you. I hope your 40th is a great one. And we appreciate so much you taking the time to join us on this Arni's birthday Zoom.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.